What's going on, everybody? This is Brian Mazique, aka Unique Mazique, the hardest working man in sports and gaming, and we're talking UFC Fight Night 171. I'm a fight guy, Forbes contributor, and also writing for Heavy.com. And we are into the main card with the odds and predictions videos. If you want to see the rest of them, make sure you look in the upper right corner. You can click that link and you can see all of my previews. We are working. I told you I'm the hardest working man in sports and gaming. I said that. This is what I mean. So make sure you go ahead and subscribe right now to the channel, The Fight Guys. We are bringing all sorts of combat sports content, boxing, MMA as well, bare knuckle fighting championship too. And don't forget to leave a like and to click the notifications bell too. So let's talk about Drew Dober against Alexander Hernandez. This is one of the tightest fights on the card from an odds standpoint. The updated odds right after the weigh-ins have Drew Dober still as the slight favorite, minus 118, but Alexander Hernandez is at minus 102, so he's a very, very slight underdog. So at one point, Alexander Hernandez looked like he was headed for title contention with the UFC. He ran into Donald Cerrone and got humbled, just to put it plainly, back in January of 2019. And you might remember Donald Cerrone talking about it. He was like, the kid was talking trash to him in the hotel, and he was like, "Dude, I don't play those kind of games. I don't play those kind of games." And you don't see, especially Donald Cerrone lately, you don't see him get that way. So Hernandez got under his skin. He's been the type of fighter to kind of get under people's skin. I remember back early in his UFC career, I thought he threw a cheap shot at Beneil Dariush in the middle of a fight to gain advantage, and ultimately ended up knocking him out that round. Didn't sit well with me at all. So he was on a 8-fight winning streak before he fought Cerrone, got that snapped, but he did bounce back to his credit with a unanimous decision victory over Francisco Trinaldo in his last fight in July of 2019. But on Wednesday, in what is still going to be a fanless VyStar Veterans Memorial Arena, this number 15 ranked Hernandez is going to be facing somebody in Drew Dober who is on his own streak. He has won 2 fights in a row, both of them by first round KO, and he's looking to press his way into the top 15. At this point right now, Hernandez is ranked number 15, so Dober wants his spot. Dober knocked out Marco Polo Reyes and Nasrat Haqparast in his last 2 fights, and both of those knockouts open some eyes, especially the one against Haqparast. So if we look at this, I'm a little bit surprised, I'm going to be honest, that the odds makers are in favor of Dober here. Dober is kind of guy that kind of doesn't get a lot of respect, and I know how much hype was behind Hernandez, and because he did come back and get a victory against Trinaldo, who was a very respected veteran, I thought he might have, kind of reestablished himself. But to me, these odds say a little bit about what the odds makers are saying about where they see Hernandez at after, being humbled by Cerrone and defeating Trinaldo in what wasn't I don't think a spectacular performance, but getting the victory, and what they're thinking about Dober now after 2 definitely spectacular performances. So they list Hernandez as an inch taller than Dober, and he also has a 2-inch reach advantage. I don't think any of that is going to be significant, but I do think that Dober's advantage as an overall athlete might be significant. Hernandez is an active guy, moves around a lot, throws a lot of kicks. So I'm not saying that he's a poor athlete, but if we're looking at quick twitch athleticism, I think Dober might have the advantage there, and that could be a factor in a few different scenarios. So we'll see how it works out. Looking at the numbers, they're very similar. Dober does take a little bit more punishment, 4.16 strikes per minute, and Hernandez at 3.25. Defensively, both guys avoid about 50% of the strikes thrown at them, but Dober appears to be a better grappler, so we'll see how that actually transpires in the actual octagon, because sometimes the numbers can be a little bit deceiving. He's only landed 17% of his takedowns, even though if you were to ask me which guy is a better grappler, I'd say it would be Dober. But Dober Hernandez has landed 30% of his takedowns, so it's a higher number. But from a visual standpoint, I think Dober is just a little bit more effective in that way. We're talking about stuffing takedowns. Dober's definitely been better. He stuffed 62% of those to 57 for Hernandez. Taking a look at the striking, apart from the numbers, because as I mentioned, I don't think they tell the full story all the time. Hernandez is very aggressive when he's at his best. but it seemed like he was a little bit more tentative in the first round against Trinaldo, especially. And Trinaldo is a southpaw, just like Dober. So it kind of looked like he was having a hard time finding that range and getting his timing down against the southpaw. So maybe the experience against Trinaldo will make him better in that sense against Dober. Maybe it's just indicative of him struggling to find range against a southpaw. And I don't want to make it sound like he lost that fight. He did win, but he certainly didn't look like that whirlwind tornado that he looked like before he lost to Cerrone. Dober's a very smart fighter. He'll be trying to, time those entries because Hernandez does a lot of in and out, dashing in and out. And that big left hand from Dober, which is what knocked out Haqparast, you got to watch for it because he brings some heat. He brings it straight down the middle, and he gets it from point A to point B pretty fast, especially lately when it looks like he's now rounding into his own. So got to watch that. From a grappling standpoint, like I said, I think Dober's the better fighter there. I think he has a better advantage. I think he has some powerful takedowns. And I think that could be a factor, especially because Hernandez has such an active kicking game. He loves to throw the kicks. And if Dober can time that, and turn that into a single, or to get inside the hips and to lock both arms around, I can see him getting some takedowns off of some of those kicks. Looking at the intangibles, I'm going to be totally honest. Hernandez carries this kind of a bad boy persona, and it was a little bit zapped away from him the way Cerrone just totally handled him. And he tried to bring it a little bit into the Trinaldo fight, but it just didn't seem to be as prevalent. I think at this point, he might be suffering a little bit with some confidence. He's still a very young fighter, and that first loss that you absorb can have a psychological a psychological effect on people. Now, it wasn't his first loss; it was his second loss, but it was his first loss since early in his career. So early in his career, he lost to Jamal Emmers back in 2013, but he'd gone on a crazy 7 or 8 fight winning streak at that point. And I'm sure, especially with the hype that was behind him, he was starting to feel a certain way about who he was as a fighter, and that got kind of taken away from him with that loss to Cerrone. And he just didn't seem to have the same confidence against Trinaldo, even though he did win. Dober is the kind of guy, from a poise and calm standpoint, he just looks totally unflappable. And I think that his poise and constant pressure could be something that kind of drains Hernandez, because Hernandez, to me, has a lot of what I would call wasted motion. And especially because he does carry a muscular build. So he's not out there built like Dominic Cruz with this lean way. The muscular guys, you tend to tax out quicker. And he has a lot of movement around. And against a guy like Dober, who's probably going to consistently close space, I wonder how effective that's going to be. So we'll see how that works. Now, there's totally a chance that Hernandez could catch Dober with a head kick or something like that and hurt him. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think the odds makers have it fairly close, but they have it in favor of Dober, and I'd have to agree with them. As a matter of fact, I think Dober's going to knock him out in the second round, a TKO. He's my prediction to win this fight. It's not an upset at all, but it is a close one. So this is something that I think a lot of people are looking for someone to bet on. They may actually be looking at this fight. I like Dober to win, TKO in the second round. That's what I got. I want to hear what you guys have to say in the comment section. I appreciate you watching. As always, don't forget to subscribe, like this video. God bless, and peace.